Good evening, it is KarQ here. We have hot takes of the week right before the beginning of season 13. I'm doing this live on Twitch at twitch.tv/KarQ. I don't know when you're going to watch this on YouTube, but if you do, make sure you come back in a couple of days when Overwatch Season 13 begins on Tuesday, because there's probably going to be Twitch drops. Ignore the people memeing on the side here. Let's make fun of people or agree with their takes. Hot take: abilities should never be locked out by any hero except Sombra, because it removes a lot of the fun of counterplay. Aside from Sombra, because a lot of her ult's value is as a shutdown tool, things like Zarya's ultimate should not lock out things like Reaper's Fade, and Mauga's ultimate should not lock out Juno or Echo's Flying. Like, where are they going to go anyways? LOL. Overwatch is fun because there's always something you can do to take away abilities that can be useful in these situations. Is like telling a farmer to plant a crop and then setting his shed on fire. Oh my god. Listen, your metaphor, is that metaphor? Your analogy at the end, telling a farmer to plant a crop and setting a shed on fire, it's not fun for the person using the ability. You said Overwatch is fun because there's something you can do to take away abilities, but then that's not fun for the person producing the abilities. How bad would it feel if your ultimate just did nothing as a tank? Your Mauga pops an ult and then half the heroes just disappear. You know how bad people feel when their shit gets Kiriko Suzu'd or Bap lamped? At least those supports have to use those abilities for their teammates. In a case where like a Reaper can just press one button and walk away on his own accord, his own agency, it's one of the reasons they did that, so they can balance it to make the single tank a little bit more powerful. If Zarya grabbed and half the roster was able to just escape for free, that's not fun for the Zarya player as well. So you have to kind of look at it from both sides. So I disagree. I think this take is pretty hot. I do think some abilities need to be locked out by certain heroes for balancing purposes. If all abilities are powerful at the same time, then none of them are. Hey, that's pretty good. The perspective is key. Hot take: most of your opinions or takes, so me, KarQ, my takes are never going to understand the metal rank experience. Top 500 meta is not even close to metal experience. True. I also fell out of top 500, so this doesn't apply to me anymore. I'm washed up. Try to think about your perspective a little bit more and try to look at it from a different lens. Like, I take it into consideration, so that's why like a lot of these I don't just hard disagree. Like, I mean, some of them I totally do, but I'm not like a all or nothing. I do try to look at, you know, your side or perspective. But you're right. If I don't go through it personally, there will be like an aspect of it that's missing. I don't think I can realistically understand it unless I'm going through it. So like all the takes on Sombra being this, those are the most popular ones, by the way. Sombra being really, like, I know I can say, you know, Sombra's like okay to deal with. She's not that bad in her current state, but everybody always comes back and being like, you don't understand. Metal rank Sombra, worst fucking hero of all time. I can't fucking handle it. This is so bad. Spawn camps kills me. Nobody peels, blah, 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 blah. And I just go to my default answer. It's part of the journey, man. Part of League of Legends is learning how to play against Shaco and Twitch and Evelynn and stealth heroes. If stealth is an aspect they're keeping in the game, you're just going to have to like figure out a hero or figure out a teamwork aspect to help deal with it. Just like if they have a Graviton Surge and you are an Ana, you're going to have to figure it out. If you get caught in it, there's nothing you can do. Or you can swap to Zen, or you can swap to Bap and Lamp, or you can Suzu and TP out. If you're getting camped by a Sombra, you're gonna have to swap and figure it out. At the end of the day, get good, man. Hot take: ironically, 2 CP would be better in Overwatch 2, especially now since wave respawn is a thing. Maybe some of the maps need slight reworks on their first points, but those can be done with less turtle capabilities, an overall more brawl-focused gameplay, and one less tank on the field. 2 CP would be much less of waiting around for 1 or 2 big fights that win or lose you a point, and more poking with each other until you're ready for a proper engagement, or you get engaged by the enemy. If it fails, everybody spawns together 5 seconds after your last support dies. They just won the point, but now the entire team is alive again, grouped up and ready to retake the point from the defender side. Does it still suck? Probably a little, but it would be nowhere near as bad as it was in Overwatch 1. Hard to say without playing it. I have played 2CP 5v5 a lot as a custom mode. It still felt exactly the same. I mean, people in this chat here, half of these people tried it. I remember every time a team fight happened, I'm just like, this is just how I remember it. Just brawly, deathmatchy, fights never finishing. Now you say group wave respawn changes it. I think it would make it worse. It means you can't capture the second point because the defenders just keep coming out together and they keep retaking it back. Unless they change the spawn distance, I feel like it would make it worse. Maybe a little bit better for attackers so they can actually like group up, but the defenders are going to be like the Mount Everest. I don't know how you're going to topple that. It's basically Clash third point for the whole game. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, because Clash was introduced to the game with wave respawn. A lot of people don't really like Clash right now. Hot take, when the main meta is dive, the game is not fun, especially being a support main since season 10. I'm so tired of dive being a top dog. I feel like I never get to live because I always have a Diva, Tracer, Sombra on me. This is just personal preference. DPS players and a lot of tank players enjoy dive. Some Lucio players probably like dive. Me, it's not a hot take, it's just an opinion. When the main meta is dive, the game is also not as fun for me. I don't mind it, but I certainly enjoy brawl or poke more because it's a front to back composition. Think Circuit Royale, front to back, Sigma poke. There's no flankers, no Sombra, no Tracer. Everyone's just snipers. I mean, I get owned by snipers a lot of times too, so maybe that's not the most fun, but front to back comps are easier for the support players to stay alive. And playing against dive is a lot of to think about because you're probably public enemy #1 by the Diva, Sombra, Tracer, so you have to adjust. I get this perspective. I don't really think it's a hot take. I think that opinion, I can understand it. I share it. If your support like meta or heroes that you play are like Zen, sometimes Bap, sometimes Ana. Like if you don't play slippery heroes like in super survivable heroes, you might not have a good time. Junkrat is the Winston of DPS. Highly mobile, rewards good positioning and game sense more than aiming abilities, which is not a bad thing. The game plan revolves around denying space or bullying squishies. Severely underutilized in the current meta in all ranks, it has historically been underrated in Overwatch 2's lifespan. This is probably the hottest take I've read so far out of the last 5. Junkrat is the Winston of DPS. I can think of 3 other more mobile DPSs than Junkrat. Winston is one of the more mobile ones. I'd say Ball and Doom are the top, and then Winston and Diva are like the backup with verticality. There's a few other DPSs with vertical mobility, and some are literally flyers too, like Echo and Pharah, but okay. Rewards good positioning and game sense more than aiming. I would say your aim is still pretty damn important to hit, because like his breakpoints are a lot harder and you need to hit the back-to-backs. You don't land that first shot and if you have bad aim and you miss your first shot, even up close, and then you throw the mine after because that's your combo, then you just boop them and you whiffed your first shot. Now you gotta, oh shit, you gotta pray your second or your third shot hits. And then maybe they get a bit of healing and then you're in trouble and your position's out. Obviously, if they step in the trap, it's a little bit easier, but I mean, that statement in a vacuum can hold some merit, right? Rewards good positioning and game sense more than raw aim, sure. Game plan revolves around denying space or bullying squishies. That's every DPS hero. That's what every hero should be trying to do. That's obsolete. Severely underutilized in the current meta and all ranks. I wouldn't say so. There's actually a couple of like pretty good Junkrat one tricks I see that like work pretty well. Certain maps and certain payloads points are very good, but then it's pretty rough on other parts. And if they're a junk one trick, tough to make it work there. Historically been underrated. I don't think he's been underrated. I straight up think he was hot ass when they broke his 2-shot combo. Season 9, everybody got more HP. He didn't have the shot mine combo. They had to buff it back up to hit that thresh point, but he was not underrated there. He was straight up ass there. But other seasons, he's been like actually okay. But yeah, this is a pretty hot take. Hot take, annoying heroes need to stop getting a pass just because they're technically weak in the highest ranks. I see the argument all the time that heroes like Roadhog shouldn't be nerfed because they're weak in GM or something. I'm Diamond, and every single game this season is against the Bastion, Sombra, Mei, or Hanzo, and they all make the game agonizing to play, regardless of whether or not their win rates are mathematically balanced. Rather than building a temple to madness trying to make every hero viable at every rank, the devs should instead be incentivizing people to move towards healthier skill curve characters as they improve at the game. I can agree to that last point. I just don't know how the hell they're going to implement something like that. How do you incentivize people to play a healthier skill curve hero as they get better? Some people just like the hero because they like it, even if they have a low skill ceiling. Like Moira mains are just always going to play Moira because they just love the hero. It goes beyond skill curve. People will play a hero for many different reasons. So I have no idea how they're going to incentivize it. People just gravitate towards, like, sometimes it's the story that makes people play a character, their lore. They feel the identity, right? So that part, I don't know how you're going to do it, but that's very wishful thinking. I hope they can. That being said, you say your Diamond in every single game is against Bastion, Sombra, Mei, or Hanzo. I don't think that's true. I mean, they have pick rate data in Diamond. I'm sure you may see one of the 4, but if it's like here and there, but every single game, I don't know. I feel like there's probably a lot more Casses and Ashes than you think. You just remember when it feels bad to play against a Bastion, Sombra, Mei, or Hanzo. Like sometimes you'll see a random Bastion or Hanzo, but they're pretty uncommon, right? Mei's getting played a lot. I will agree to that. Same with Sombra. Annoying heroes need to stop getting a pass because they're technically weak in the highest ranks. Roadhog shouldn't be nerfed because they're weak in GM. Okay, sorry. So you're saying they're getting a pass as in they're not getting nerfed because they're weak in the high rank. I think for a certain point, Sombra wasn't hard meta at the high ranks, but she got nerfed anyways because diamond or metal ranks and below were complaining about it. So it's hard. I don't necessarily agree that they're getting a pass just because they're weak in the high ranks. There's certainly uncommon heroes that are getting tweaked simply because of community sentiment, right? I think it's easy to say that like streamers and whatever have a lot of pull to the game because the high ranks are saying this is the case. But the devs have said over and over again, they take a look at everything. They look at not only community and the high end, but low end and also region. They also literally had an article where they said, it's funny because in North America, high rank players said this hero was really good. And in the metal ranks, they said this hero was good in the community that they looked at. Then they look at the stats and it varied completely different than Korean gold players versus Korean top 500 players or Asia players play just a different set of heroes. So who's right? Who's actually strong and who's actually weak when their data sets are completely different? Goes back to the point of how do you incentivize people to move towards a healthier skill curve of heroes? They just play, people just play what they like at the end of the day as well. So like, is anybody here living in Asia? Like, what do you see? Today, in the last 2 days I played, it's all Orisa, Ram, and Winston. I actually barely saw Diva, but that's because OWCS right now in NA, everyone's playing Orisa. But I think in Asia, people are still playing Dive nonstop because Asia just loves Dive and EU loves Brawl. Point is, it's easy to think that they're getting a pass because the streamers said in the high rank that it's bad, but I would like to hope, and when you like peel back the lens, they're considering it from different avenues for sure. Okay, oh, Sombra. Speaking of Sombra, Sombra hate is just a skill issue. The counter to Sombra is good positioning and teamwork, but there isn't a button that you can press that people think there are no counters. It's true. Getting a little bit of peel goes a long way for the flankers and Dive. Like Dive, remember the person earlier who said they didn't enjoy Dive as a support? It's because teamwork, which unfortunately isn't always the case when you queue up in solo queue, is the counter to Sombra. If I go to the local pickup basketball court and like there's just the counter to the best player is to probably double team them, but am I gonna ask a rando to help me double team in a pickup game of basketball? I don't know. But if we go in an organized 5 group and I'm playing a rec league and their star player is like Steph Curry's like 12-year-old reincarnation, maybe we go like, hey, you know, Rob, let's go double team this kid because he's fucking shooting nonstop threes right now, right? So there's the difference between solo queue aspects. So yes, unfortunately, Sombra's design, teamwork, and positioning helps a lot, but that goes not only for Sombra, that goes for a dominant tracer. Any dominant dive hero is supposed to punish bad solo out of position players. Literally, a tracer can do nothing if they go for a backline and a Briggs just shows up and is paired off, or a Lucio, which is why when I, scrimmed and played in OWCS earlier this year, we always had our Lucio paired with our tracer. Not always, but like always a 3-2 pairing. Very rarely did we have a solo pairing, like a solo tracer doing their own thing, unless they're just completely way better than them. But for the most part, if you have a little bit of help, the 1v2 is very hard to win. Hot take: the monthly balance changes are too much for the average player to keep track of. Someone who plays and enjoys a hero may be completely confused when their heroes are rebalanced or reworked, as they are not watching videos or reading patch notes. Not everyone is hooked into the nitty-gritty of this game, and it feels like Blizzard does a poor job communicating to everyone large changes to heroes if they don't go out of their way to find these things. I think this is a hot take. I think your average player, the thing is, the average player doesn't need to keep track of it. Maybe a big rework like Sombra and like Roadhog might be a little jarring for someone who just plays Sombra and Roadhog and is completely offline from stuff, but that's very rare that they do a complete hero rework. They've only done it for Hog and Sombra, right? Have they done it for anybody else? I don't know. I disagree. If I play League, if I go play Apex Legends, if I go play Valorant, I don't read a lick of patch notes. I don't even care. I'd be like, oh, what does this hero do? Okay. What does this agent do again? Oh, they changed it? I mean, that's fine. I'll figure it out in the game because I'm an average casual player. I think it's important for a live service game to continue to be balancing every month. We saw what happened in Overwatch 1 when they didn't balance for months and months and months. And in 1 month cycle, it's kind of already kind of long for like daily players like me. I'm like, oh, I'm waiting for the new patch already, right? But I understand your perspective from an average player. Like a month the cadence may feel kind of high, but we're at a pretty good pace right now, and I don't think they need to change it. I don't think this is too much at all. Don't read the patch notes. Don't even worry about it if you're a casual. Hot take, you're just not that guy. You're not going to perform at 100% efficiency at all time, and that's fine. That is not a hot take. That is a good take, a great take. You're not him, her, them. You're just not that guy, girl, whatever. You're just not always going to be them every game. You're not that Widow. You're not that Tracer dominating the game. You're just not that Ana, unfortunately. Not all the time. Sometimes you can be in the game, but you're not. Once you accept that and you drop the ego and understand it's okay to get carried sometimes. I do it all the time. You know, I can't always be the all-star, you know? Sometimes you gotta pass the ball to Michael Dellavedova or like, you know, Dante DiVincenzo down there, you know? Hot take. We need mounts. What? I'm tired of dragging Grandma Ana across Shambali. I'm tired of picking heroes based on mobility simply because walking there gives them too much time. I can't pick Sigma when my team needs a shield because I know they'll die before we ever regroup. Snowballed. We need mounts. I don't care what kind. Horses, wings, attack helicopters, whatever it is to balance the mobility and make the game feel like a game instead of a chore. Unfortunately, I think a mount would be a little too much for the size of the map. I haven't played Paladins, but I didn't know Paladins has like big. Is their map bigger than Overwatch, would you say? I mean, I don't mind the mounts in Heroes of the Storm, but it's a different game. Like, I'm trying to think of another like first person / third person shooter. So they did it with Flashpoint. Yeah, a spawn door boost isn't bad, but a mount, it feels like it would be like an animation nightmare to like bring it up. I mean, it's Blizzard. I mean, they could sell mounts and make a lot of money if they ever implemented it correctly. For me, it feels like an unnecessary complication right now, and it makes another balancing nightmare if you can just like bypass some like slow mobility. And then the time, like everything in Overwatch is calculated from their time to walk to certain objectives, right? And this changes everything again. This is like an Overwatch 3 thing they'd have to look at. There's no consequence to dying because the timing would be thrown off. They'd have to consider the mount timing because mount gives an increase in the speed. Then they have to change the distance between the point, and the point feels like it's always stalled forever because they die, they wave respawn, then they hop on a mount and they run back to the point. Yeah, it would just be another overhaul. This is an Overwatch 3 thing we'll look at in 2026 because they're announcing Overwatch 3 already. No, I'm just kidding, but you know what I mean. Yeah, no, I don't like this one. Hot take, let me shit talk. Half the fun is flaming each other. If I want to call my teammates or the enemy dog water, I shouldn't get banned for that. Slurs are one thing, but trash talk is another. I don't think calling an enemy dog water is merits to get banned, but like the thing is everyone's threshold is a little different. It's like my chat here can call me dog water because we built that relationship, right? So it's like you say half the fun is flaming each other because you can flame your friends and like your streamer and stuff because that's fun because you have this is a social thing, but not everyone has that same threshold. Someone could be having a really bad day and like you don't know who they are, the random person. I go to, again, the analogy, go to a random pickup basketball game and call this random stranger trash, but they don't know I'm joking because we haven't established that relationship. And then they're like, dude, this guy's just I just look like an asshole. So if you just flame each other and you just talk shit to your team or the enemy team, sometimes you just look like a complete ass and you just don't have that self-realization. I think as you get older, you can mature and kind of understand and see like where it comes from. Like I shit talk Flats because he's like literally one of my best friends, and then you guys in chat always make fun of me, but you know I don't take it seriously, and that's fine. We established that line, but it just won't work. You know, there's a fine line for the flame. You know what I mean? The mutual understanding and mutual respect is important. You know, a light banter is fine. The line can be drawn at different points here, so tread carefully. So that's why I have a thing. I just don't shit talk anybody unless I know them. So when I go in my ranked games, I just don't say anything. I'll teabag Jay on the other team or like one of my friends on the other team and like talk trash to them only, but like to a complete stranger, I don't know what they're going through, so I don't even bother. Anyways, that's it for me. Thanks for listening to my hot takes.